right, let's talk about incident management. What's an incident? How do you know if it's an incident that we have to report?
It's causing problems.
That would be like every day.
Yes. When someone gets hurt.
Okay, yeah.
Somebody gets hurt, somebody dies.
Okay. All right, you've had the class, so
When somebody gets
you
hurt.
may not need to answer the questions because you're gonna know the answers.
Why? Let her answer.
I know she's enabling. She's enabling all the rest of y'all. All right, so look, if something really major happens, we have to report that to the state, and they always kind of question us because we really historically we've not really reported anything. So they always look at us sideways because I think deep down they know that's bullshit. We're just not doing a good job on incident management. So it's not really, and look, we have very few guys compared to some of those other facilities, which I think they forget a lot of times. They're not with us all day, every day, like a lot of the other facilities are. So, I mean, technically compared to other rehabs, we should have less incidents to report. But 0 is probably not accurate either. And I do agree that a lot of it's probably because y'all don't really know what constitutes an incident that we do have to report. And of course, reporting means there's a paper form we fill out and Suzanne has to submit stuff.
I've reported 2 lately, so they'll be off our back.
Good, so that's better. I don't want incidents to happen, but we need at least a little something every once in a while. Like I said, they always look at us sideways. So there is a whole section, if you just love boring reading, in the policy and procedure manual that talks about what we're supposed to do for incident management, which is sort of what I've copied and pasted and put on this form to kind of go over. I'm going to try not to read the whole thing to you, though. There's a program that we use to report incidents. It's called THERAP, which Suzanne's had the training on. So she has to enter all of that stuff into THERAP when something happens. Here is what constitutes an incident. And if you ever have one, there's a form. You just mainly need to let Suzanne know so that she can enter and report it properly. But on y'all's end, y'all just need to know what constitutes an incident. So, and again, hopefully these don't happen. But the first one it talks about is abuse. Physical, verbal, sexual, any kind of mistreatment, neglect, or exploitation. That doesn't mean from y'all. That could mean other clients.
Talking about like the assessment. Does she, if they come home from past and they report child abuse, molestation, or anything like that, you don't assess it then?
That's a different confidentiality. That's a different issue. As far as incident reporting, it's incidents that happen on the property when we're responsible for the clients.
Okay.
Does that make sense? It's when they're here.
But if they come home and report that, I need to know because I'll have to report that to the state.
To the state. Yeah, that's a different kind of report. We're going to talk about that when we talk about confidentiality. This is something, an incident is something that happens on the property or when we are responsible, when the clients are under our supervision. That's what the incident management part's about. So any kind of abuse. Let's say that Joe slugs Jerry in the face and they get in a physical altercation. Or let's say that we have a client here that's kind of slow and the rest of the clients are taking his money from him, manipulating him out of his money. He's being exploited.
You report that to the state?
Yeah.
That's considered an incident. Anything that they could technically want to sue us over is an incident.
Bring it to the light for them?
So we've got to report that to the state, exactly. So any kind of abuse, if there's any confidentiality violations, if Jerry goes home and runs into Joe's sister at Walmart and tells Joe's sister that he's here in treatment, that's a confidentiality violation. The clients are not supposed to do that, and y'all are certainly not supposed to. All right, but if accidentally something slips, you let out to somebody. Let's say that somebody's mom calls, and you say, "Well, I'll tell him to call you when he gets back from Walmart." He's at Walmart with the rest of the group, but we don't have a release for this guy's mom. You've violated his confidentiality. That is a report in THERAP.
Yeah.
And it happens. You know, again, it wasn't a major violation. Wasn't a major incident. You didn't read his whole medical record to his mother, but you did acknowledge that he was a client here, which we're not supposed to do unless we know without a shadow of a doubt that we are allowed legally to speak to that person through that release of information. So that is it's an incident. Obviously, if there's a death, you know, we wake up and Joe had a heart attack in the middle of the night and he's dead when we wake up the next morning. Obviously, that would be an incident. Elopement is considered an incident. Which that one probably comes up more than any of the rest of them, because that happens, I don't want to say a good bit, but that happens sometimes.
When that guy walked off from Celebrate Recovery with you.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah.
That's considered an incident. Any hospitalization, we have those that happen. That's probably, thankfully, these are the kinds of incidents that we have. It's not a screw up on our part. It's just one of those weird, funky things that
'Cause
happens.
we had two do that the past 2 months,
Yeah.
so, okay.
That's the two I reported.
I'm on board now, I
Yeah.
get it.
Alright, so those are incidents. If the law enforcement has to come out here and be involved in anything,
Yeah, we've had that.
that's considered an incident.
So
Any oh, go ahead.
Walk off in the middle of the night, you got an
I got a
incident,
report.
Yeah.
That's
You
an-
reporting that now?
that's
Okay.
an elopement.
Now, when that happens, do they fill out a form or do they just come and tell
They
you?
just come and tell me, usually I find out the next morning,
Okay.
so-and-so left last night in the middle of the night.
What's the time limit for reporting an incident?
24 hours.
24
Some of
hours.
them are 24 hours, some of them are the next day. It depends on whether it's a high, medium, or a low.
Either way, let her know immediately. The sooner the better. Alright, if there's any legal or criminal activity, some of the clients stole something from Walmart, a major injury. Again, if they fell down the steps, they knocked their head and got a concussion when they were cleaning out the rock pond, a major injury. It could be an accident, an assault, it could be self-inflicted, or we don't know how they got it, but if it's something pretty major. A medication error is considered an incident. Those happen too, right? We know. And there's 3 different kinds of medication errors. The nurses are not here to kind of go over all of that, but if y'all have been trained in all that math stuff, then y'all ought to know what those are. I've not been trained in that. It's not my department, but y'all should know what it is. A media event is considered an incident. Now, I don't know what that would be. What's a media event?
Media is if the media shows up here unannounced and they start filming
Oh,
and the clients are involved in it. Or
okay.
we go somewhere and they're filming and they have not got our client's
Gotcha.
signature to be
Okay, filmed.
filmed.
All right, if we have to restrain anybody, Joe loses his shit and starts flouncing around, and y'all have to restrain him, that's considered an incident. If we have to seclude somebody, basically put them in adult timeout, that's an incident. Any kind of sexual context or contact, Joe wakes up in the middle of the night and Jerry's
Going down on
something, whatever, yeah, whether it's consensual or not, ain't happening around here. Obviously, suicide attempts
them. Yes.
would be considered an incident. Relocation, what is relocation? If we have to transfer them to relocate them to another facility?
Higher level care, you gotta report that?
I don't know.
Bet you do.
So we don't know what relocation
I
means.
don't know what relocation is.
Put it
I'll
on
have
your
to-
no-
I'll
put it
have
on your
look
notes
on
to-
there.
I wonder if it's like when Jerry went to the Brian Clay house in the middle of the night, would that be a relocation?
I don't
Mhm.
know. I will look up.
Alright, so
look at
to
that
be
one.
determined what that means. And then the last one's discretionary, so I guess that means up to our discretion. If it seems like an incident, better safe than sorry. If it's something major. But you see the kind of things that an incident includes and involves, so I guess discretionary is just whatever. It talks about these different incident classifications, and I really think for y'all's purposes, just, as soon as you see Suzanne,
Let me know. Let me know.
and the minimum time is 24 hours, so just as soon as you see her, now that's not 24 hours for you to report it to her, that's 24 hours for her to get it submitted. So, you know what I mean, don't just wait till the 23rd and a half hour to tell her something that she has to have submitted in 24 hours, cause that gives her 30 minutes to do all that, and I know it takes a lot longer than
It takes a lot
that.
longer, and they're apt to report these things, guys.
So, cause you gotta be real detailed about the stuff that you're entering and get all your ducks in a row, so just let her know as soon as reasonably appropriate, you know, the next morning or whatever. Don't wake her up in the middle, don't wake her up in the middle of the night.
Send me a text if you need to.
Yeah.
I need to talk to you ASAP.
So like I said, I'm not gonna go over like all the stuff, but, essentially I mainly just need y'all to know what an incident is and what to do, and just to let her know as soon as possible. And it talks about all these different kinds of things. Like I said, it goes into a lot of detail, but for y'all's purposes, I really kind of feel like that's irrelevant. Hey, you know what? It tells us on here in policy and procedure manual what that stuff is.
Here's the relocation.
Alright, so yeah, it says media event, any unplanned manner regardless of location and reference a recipient, provider, employee, deemed marked. Media includes TV, radio, internet, newspaper, or social media sites. So that would also include if somebody's posting something, you know what I mean, on social media here. So that one would be when I can't imagine the news rolling up here on the site, you know, unless we get involved in something we don't wanna be involved in, or news, you know what I mean, like, something like that. The newspaper came and interviewed me and Wayne when we were remodeling this place, but no clients were here. But if a client would have been here and they would have interviewed that client or taken pictures of that client, we would have to report that in TheraP. So it don't have to be something bad. Medication errors, let's see, what was the one we said we weren't sure what it was?
Relocation.
Oh, well, of course, that's one that's not freaking in here that's,
Yeah. I don't remember seeing it in my incident management either.
that's crazy, medication error. Well, that's just really funny. Neglect, physical use, receipt. Oh, here we go, never mind, I lied. Relocation. Recipients are moved from the identified treatment setting and are relocated to an alternate site for reasons including but not limited to fire, flood,
Oh.
weather-related conditions,
Okay.
utility or plumbing failure,
Okay.
hazardous materials event, structural damage, pest infestation, etc.
What about COVID?
I don't think
That's a good question. Probably not. This
No.
sounds like it's like disaster, catastrophe, our bad kind
So
of
if you don't
stuff.
send them home for COVID, you don't report that? I just wondering.
I don't know.
Don't matter to me, but so like like the time we had the bed bugs
The bed
and we
bugs.
had to do all that stuff, did we have to report stuff like that?
Yep. We should have reported that in TheraP for the bed bugs if they had to be relocated because of it.
they wasn't relocated.
Oh, unless they're relocated. Relocation's the only time we have to report it. Not if we have a problem, but if they have to go
Okay.
stay somewhere
Somewhere
else
else.
because we have a problem.
What about that time we had to go take showers and stuff?
No,
We didn't have to report that.
Because they're
right?
not living somewhere else at that
Okay.
point. We're not
we just had
relocating them.
plumbing problems.
That wasn't an incident though?
It was an incident, but that we
Oh.
didn't have to relocate them.
Yeah.
I
This
know,
one's,
but we still have to report it.
no.
Oh.
Only if we have to relocate them for probably longer than, you know.
Now, if we had
Like
to
forever
relocate
now.
from here to a hotel, we would have had to report it, cause if the plumbing was out and they had to relocate.
Alright, so y'all think y'all have a pretty good understanding of what a serious injury is?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Alright, so pause that.